Okay, so it is just after 6 and we will start our planning agenda for this evening.
Just unmute for people that are attending in person, and there's a few.
Okay, if you folks in the hallway want to come on in, I'm not sure which application you're here for, but I don't want you to miss anything, so we'll get started here in a minute or so. Okay, the first application we have this evening.
Got it now.
Pardon me?
It's just, I'll mute them out of
Okay, we do have a number of variations in conditional uses, and we have a couple of subdivisions today. But before we get going, I just want to let everybody know that if you have registered to speak this evening, I will call you. If you have not registered to speak tonight, you will still have the opportunity to speak. I will call at the end of the speakers that I have on my list if there's anybody else who wishes to speak, so you will still have that opportunity. And before we start into our variations, the first thing we need to do is enter into a public hearing.
Is it right? Read the first one. So, resolved that the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order 68 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horwath, Councillor Strang seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so this is at 159 Grand Marais Boulevard, and I'm going to ask the planner to please review it for council and those that are sitting in, whether you're in the chamber or on Zoom with us this evening.
Good evening, council members and all the attendees. The first item on the agenda this evening is the variance application DO 68 2022. Location is 159 Grand Marais Boulevard, roll number 751000. The proposal is to reduce the required side yards from 10 feet minimum to 7 feet minimum, and require front yard minimum from 30 to 20. This is a variance request table. It shows the subject property is zone SR, and in that particular zone, the minimum front yard or side yard setback is 10 feet. The applicant is proposing 7, and the front yard setback in that zone is 30 feet, and the applicant is proposing 20. This map shows the subject site and the surrounding context. And this is the subject draft site plan that shows the building and the setbacks. Information for council's consideration. The proposed single-family home is consistent with the settlement center policies of the development plan. The applicant is proposing 11 feet side yards to the building face, but 7 feet to the proposed deck. Also, the applicant is proposing a 30-foot front yard to the building face for 20 feet to the proposed deck. Proposed yard setback is consistent with what is existing development pattern on the street. Should council wish to approve this application, RPD is proposing 3 conditions. One of them is that the variance be limited to what is being proposed, obtain all required permits, and obtain a lot grading permits from the area of St. Clements. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you for that, Femi. Any questions from members of council to the planner? Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland.
The way it looks here, it's only because of the decks, is the front is,
Yes.
because of the, yeah, okay, because of the variance.
From
Not the size of the dwelling, just the
from the
decks.
lot line to the building face,
Yeah.
it meets the zoning bylaw, but to the deck is what we do.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, are the applicants in the audience this evening? Have you anything further to add add to your application at this point in time?
No, not at this time, thank you.
Not at this time? Okay, I don't see that I have anybody listed that wants to speak on this application, but as I said earlier, I will ask, is there anybody in the council chamber who wishes to speak on this application? I'm not seeing any hands be raised. And I do see that we do have a few people on Zoom, and I would ask that if you want to speak on this application, if you could please raise your hand and we will call you to speak.
For anybody on Zoom, if you wish to speak to this application, you can raise your hand by looking at the reactions on Zoom and using that as a function to raise your hand.
Okay, I'm not seeing any hands being raised, and if council is ready to proceed, I will ask for a resolution to close the public hearing on this application.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 68 of 2022 be closed and regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Boulanger, second. Councillor Spicer, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. If council is ready to deal with this application, I will ask our CAO to please read the resolution.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 751000 legally described as Lot 3, Block 7, Plan 2639 and located at 159 Grand Marais Boulevard has made application for variation order number 68-2022 from side yard main for the single family dwelling 10 feet minimum to side yard for a single family dwelling 7 feet both sides, from front yard of single family dwelling 30 feet minimum to front yard for single family dwelling 20 feet minimum. Purpose to decrease both side yards to 7 feet from the required 10 feet of the front yard, 20 from the required 30 feet. Therefore be it resolved, variation of order 68 of 2022 be approved with the following conditions. Variance is limited to allow both sides yard setbacks to 7 feet minimum for the existing dwelling and 20 feet front side yard or front yard setback for the existing building as proposed within the submitted site plan and this application. Any changes in use, further additions and or replacements may require a new variance approval. 2, applicant owner obtains all required permits from Red River Planning District. 3, the applicant owner obtains a lot grading permit from the Arm of St. Clements, and this order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of the date of making.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Horbis, seconds. Any further discussion on this application? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
that might be
Councillor
the reason why the light is off, is it's buzzing.
Buzzing, do you want me to try and shut the?
Well, I'm not sure which one it is, but that's gonna drive me cuckoo.
I think it is the big one. So, Councillor Horbis, would you mind seeing if you can shut that light off? I'm not sure which switch it is. They're all on the side there.
Yes. No, keep going.
It's not that one.
Projector,
Or is it the, or is it?
There,
there,
you're good.
There.
That's good, you got perfect.
Right there. Oh, there it is again.
Okay.
I want to see you go cuckoo.
It's gone.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next application, and that's variation order number 70 of 2022. And if I can get a resolution to move into the variation board.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order number 70 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, second. Councillor Strang, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. If you wanted to leave, you're fine. Yes, you're good to go if you'd like.
Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Femi, if I could ask you to go over the application for number 70 of 2022, please.
The second item on the agenda is the variance application of BO 70 of 2002. Location is at 60 Van Horn Road, road number 311980. The proposal is to increase the permitted floor area for an accessory building from 1280 square feet maximum to 1944 square feet maximum, and increase the number of allowable accessory buildings from 2 to maximum of 3. This variance requestable. The subject property is on AR, car restricted, and in that zone, the maximum size of the accessory structure is 1280. The applicant is proposing 1944 square feet, and the number of accessory structure allowable on the subject property is 2, and the applicant is proposing 3. That is subject that shows the site itself and the surrounding context. That is subject a site plan that shows where the proposed accessory structure, which is a garage, is going to be located, and shed, and where the existing shed is going to be removed. Information for council. Although zone AR, the area is mostly developed with single-family residences, that is the surrounding area. While the subject proposal is not the minimum modification to the zoning bylaw, it is compatible with existing use on site and the surrounding areas. Council should consider the compatibility of the subject proposal given the size of the site at 3.9 acres. Should council wish to approve this application, RRPD is proposing 3 conditions as listed in their representation. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any questions from council to the planner at this point? Okay, is the applicant in the audience this evening? Have you anything that you wanted to add to your application at this point?
Not at this point, no.
Not at this point.
Thank you.
Any questions from council to the applicant? If council is ready to deal with I should ask, is there anybody that is on Zoom that wanted to speak to application numbers, variation order application 70 of 2022 in the name of Campbell? I don't see any hands being raised, so if council is ready to deal with it, I will ask for a resolution to move out of the variation ward.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order number 70 of 2022 be closed and regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councilor Corbus, Councilor Bezrowicz seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Council is ready to deal with it. I will ask our CAO to please read the resolution for this application.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 311980, legally described as Lot 5, Plan 511, and located at 60 Van Horn Road, has made application for variation order number 70 of 2022 for a maximum unit size of 1,280 square feet to maximum unit size of 944 square feet. It should be the other way around. 1944, thank you. To maximum unit size of 1944 square feet. For a maximum number of accessory structures 2 to maximum number of accessories 3. Purpose to increase the maximum unit area of a detached accessory structure from 1,280 square feet to 1,944 square feet, allow the number of accessory structures to 3 from required 2 on the subject property. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order number 70 of 2022 be approved with the following conditions. The variance is limited to the maximum unit area of 1944 square feet and the allowable 3 accessory structures as presented in the application. Any further changes, replacements, or additions will require new variance approval. Applicant owner obtains all required permits from the Windsor County District. 3, the use of the proposed garage is for personal use only and not be used as a habitable space or a business. This order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of date of making.
Thank you for that. Can I have a mover, please? Councilor Sutherland, second Councilor Horgus. Any further discussion on this application? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. The next application we have is a variation at 1068 Ferry Road, and if I could get a resolution to move into the variation board, please.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order 76 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Strang, Counselor Boulanger seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Femi, if you want to walk us through this application, please.
The next item on the agenda is a variance application at 1068 Ferry Road, views 76-2022, road number 422800. The intent is to increase the required combined area for accessory building from 1200 square feet max to 3807.58 square feet max. Number of accessory building from 2 to 6. Reduce the side yard requirements for the shed from 10 to 4.9 feet minimum, for the smokehouse from 10 feet to 8.6 feet minimum, and the outhouse from 10 feet minimum to 8.5 minimum. This is the variance table that shows that the Victoria property is on RA or residential suburban, and kind of shows what the applicant will be requesting, or these are the zoning bylaw requirements as listed. This map shows the subject site and the surrounding area. And this is the subject site when it went through a subdivision application. So, information for council, that this original subdivision application regarding this property was done under file S21-2917, which was approved by council. This variance application is in fulfillment of condition 6 of that subdivision approval, and is for the maintenance of an existing situation. So the variance that we're dealing with this evening is more like for the maintenance of existing structures on site as a result of the subdivision, and this is more of a formality. So if council wishes to approve this application, RFP is requesting just one approval, and the variance will be limited to what is being presented. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Questions from council to the planner? Not seeing any hands go up, and I see the applicant is on Zoom with us. Mr. Gores, do you have anything that you want to add at this point in time?
No, just following through the condition of the subdivision.
Okay, thank you for that. I guess, just out of curiosity more than anything, the accessory buildings that are on there, and I may have missed it, what is the total square footage of all those accessory buildings?
3,807.58.
Okay,
Yeah, and the allowable is 1,200. But this is just, it's an existing situation.
Right.
It's already there, so.
okay. Okay, so there's nothing further required for that part of it?
No.
Okay, perfect. Is there anybody else in the audience who wants to speak on this application? Is there anybody on Zoom that wishes to speak on variation order number 76 of 2022? I'm not seeing any hands being raised, so if I could ask for a resolution to come out of the variation board and we can deal with this application.
Resolved that the public hearing for variation order 76 of 2022 be closed and regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Bazarowitz seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And I believe we need the resolution for the variation.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 422-800, legally described as Lot 2, Plan 3085, located at 1068 Ferry Road, has made application for variation order number 76 of 2022 from combined floor area of 1,200 square feet to combined floor area 3,807.58 square feet, from side yard 10 feet to side yard 4.9 feet for the 112.24 square foot shed, 8.6 foot minimum for smokehouse, 8.5 foot minimum for outhouse, from number of accessory structures 2 to number of accessory structures 6. Purpose to increase the combined floor area, number of accessory and side yard requirements from existing accessory buildings on subject property as per condition of subdivision S21 of 2917. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order 76 of 2022 be approved with the following conditions. The variance is limited to the combined area of 3,807.58 square feet, the number of accessories to 6, the side yard of 4.9 feet for the 112.24 square foot shed, 8.6 feet for the smokehouse, 8.5 feet for the outhouse, as presented in this application. Any further changes, replacement, or additions will require a new variance approval. This order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of date of making.
Thank you for that. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Belanger, Councillor Spicer seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, the next item on our docket this evening is variation order number 77 of 2022, and if I could have the resolution to move into variation.
Resolved, the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be opened for variation order number 77 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horvis, Councillor Bazarowitz seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, carried. And Femi, if you could take us through this one, please.
The variance application is on River Road, is unaddressed. Roll number 50 of 300, BO 77 2022. The intent is to reduce the required side width from 200 feet minimum to 104.04 feet minimum in both lots 1 and 2 in the general development zone. This variance is coming as part of a concurrently approved subdivision, excuse me, S21-2906. That is the variance table that shows that the southern side is zone DD general development, and the side width in that DD zone is at 200 feet. The applicant is proposing 104.04 feet for lot of parcel A, B, and C, which is lot 1, and for lot 2, parcel D, 104.04 feet minimum instead of 200. The map shows that it's subject side and the surrounding area. This is the site plan as submitted by the applicant. Information for council's consideration. The original subdivision application S21-2906 was approved by council, and the variance application is a member of condition 5 of the subdivision approval, and this is more of a formality. The council wishes to approve the application. Two conditions have been placed as listed on the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Is the applicant in the audience this evening? Have you anything further that you wanted to add to your application at this point in time?
No.
I see there are a couple of other people that are on Zoom that wish to speak on this application. Is there anybody on Zoom who is in support of this application? Okay, I see there are a couple of other names here. One of them is for information. Teresa Beauregard, do you have anything you want to add to this at this point in time?
Teresa Beauregard, did you have anything to add? Please unmute yourself.
She's having problems, maybe we'll come back to her. Tracy Dufault, do you have anything that you want to speak to on this application?
Yeah, actually, this is Mark. These 200-foot width lots are, really don't go with the character of the area. Eventually, they go right through Novak, and if Novak was ever to punch through, and they got to subdivide off the back, those would also be 100-foot width lots. And like I said, they're just not, they wouldn't go with the character of the area we're living around here.
Okay, thank you for that, but you do realize that this is a condition of the subdivision that was previously approved by council?
Yeah, I read that.
Okay. Anybody else that is on Zoom that wishes to speak on this application? I'm not seeing anybody unmute. And Tracy, I see you still have a hand up. Did you have anything you wanted to add, or was your, okay, perfect. Anybody else have anything that they want to speak to on this application?
Actually, I do have one more thing.
Okay, and who is this, please?
It's Tracy.
Okay.
You said this has been already pre-approved through council?
This variation has not been pre-approved through council. What I said was approved by council was a subdivision application from 2021.
Okay, okay. Yeah, because we only have the concern about, you know, if we look at 100-foot frontage running through our area in the south end of St. Clement, it does change the character of the area completely, right? So we do, obviously, we have a concern about the drainage. I mean, obviously, that's something that you guys would have to address. But if it goes through, so just so we have some clarity on, is this a third reading for this? This is the first piece of paper that we got in the mail regarding this. So I'm not sure where this is at right now. Is this the last reading? And is this?
So Tracy, let me see if I can explain for you. This is a variation to a requirement for a subdivision application. The subdivision application that was approved in 2021 went through the 3 readings and it had a public hearing, at which point the subdivision already identified the widths of the lots and what was going to be approved. So that's when the opportunity was to have a public hearing to address those issues. What was a requirement of that subdivision was because it doesn't meet all the zoning requirements, they needed to have a variation to address the zoning requirements. But the subdivision is in fact approved. So it would be, as the planner has stated, this is a formality because it's the application itself has been approved in 2021.
Okay, I guess where we're confused is this is the first that we're hearing about it. We never got anything in the mail. We haven't been notified. This is the very first time that we're hearing about it. So, interesting though. I mean, we just haven't heard it, so, okay.
Does the planner want to address that at all?
Just like I said, the subdivision has been approved in 2021. And this is more like, I mean, the laws have been established. The reason why we are here is just because what council approved in 2021, the law does not meet the DD zone or lot area lot requirements, and that is why we are here. So the laws have been approved, and we are here just to kind of say, okay, go ahead and do it.
If the planner could talk about what's the requirement for a subdivision communication.
So for subdivision at that time, because just give me 1 second. So at that time, 2 lots were created. So it necessarily wouldn't have gone through what is called a public hearing process. So it will go through, come here, and because it was creating 2 lots then. So it comes through as just.
But they were required to post on site?
Not really, because no public roads have been created.
So Tracy, there was no public hearing, and that's what happened in 2021. That's why.
Yeah. But in terms of approval, it's been approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, is there?
Okay, that puts some clarity on it for us though.
Okay, thanks for that, Tracy. Was there anyone else on Zoom who wanted to speak on this application? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. Teresa, I see your microphone is not muted. Did you have anything that you wanted to add at this point in time? I am not hearing anything, so I am going to move on. If council is ready to deal with this variation, I will ask for a resolution to close the public hearing, please. just one moment, I see Teresa now has her hand up. Teresa, can you unmute yourself, and if you have something you want to add, go ahead.
Teresa, we can't hear you. Teresa, if you'd like, you could type something in on the chat if you cannot get the audio working. Teresa, just give me an indication that you'd like to put something in the chat. No, there it is. Does this mean there will be a new roads coming in to these properties, and where will the roads be? No. What the planner was stating was that since there was no creation of any roads, there didn't need to be a public hearing for a posting on site. Does that answer your question, Teresa? How do the owners access their properties?
Femi, can you go back to the map, please?
That's it.
Previous one. There.
This one.
They're accessing their property from
Rebeck Road.
Rebeck Road. They're not accessing it from Novak. Does that answer your question, Teresa? Okay, if you could lower your hand now, Teresa, then we'll move on, unless you have another question. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we will now I'll ask for the resolution to close this public hearing on variation order 77 of 2022.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 77 of 2022 be closed and the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Strang, seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And if I can have the resolution, if council wishes to proceed with this, I'll ask for the resolution to move this forward.
Whereas applicant owner of tax roll 50300 legally described as Part OT 276 located at Rebeck Road has made application for variation order 77 of 2022 from site width 200 feet minimum to site width lot 1, parcels A, B, and C to 104 feet minimum, lot 2, parcels D, E, and F, 104 feet minimum. Purpose to reduce the minimum site widths for proposed lots 1 and 2 within the general development zone. The requested variances in this application are part of a condition within the conditionally approved subdivision application number S21 of 2906. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order 77 of 2022 be approved with the following conditions. These variants are for the approval of the site width minimums as presented in this application. Any further changes will require new variance approval. Applicant owner obtains all required permits from the Red River Planning District. The order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of the date of making.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Spicer, seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, moving on, the next item we have on our agenda is another variation order number 80 of 2022. And that is in the Gull Lake area, and if I can have a resolution to move into the variation board.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order 80 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Horvis, Counselor Spicer seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. And Femi, if you could go ahead and walk us through this one, please.
The various application of BO 80-2022, our location is at Sherwood Street and Looney Lane, or road number 660-700 and 660-800. The intent is to reduce the waterside areas from 8 acres to 40.79 acres proposed lot 1 and 14.06 acres for proposed lot 2 as part of conditions within finally approved subdivision S222949. The subject site is currently zone A80 and the minimum lot area in the A80 zone is 80 acres. 2 lots were not created, but through the alignment from the subdivision, 2 lots were adjusted, and then they have lot 1 40.79 acres and lot 2 14.06 acres. So variances are required because it do not meet the 80 acres minimum in the A80 zone. This is the map showing the subject site. This is the subdivision application map that was submitted as part of the subdivision application under S222949. And information for council's consideration that the original subdivision application S222949 was approved by council. That this various application is in implement of condition 3 of the subdivision approval, and that this is more of mere formality. Should council to approve the application, RFP is recommending 2 conditions as listed in the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Questions to the planner from members of council? Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I would just like to add that this is not creating any additional lots. This was an adjustment of alignment of, just so that that's clear. This is, even though it's shown as a subdivision and it was a condition of the subdivision, this was just a realignment of the lines as part of the discussions we've had associated with this application. So I want to make sure that's clear.
Thank you for that. Is there anybody in the audience or on Zoom that is representing CPAC on this application? Okay, I do have a couple of people on my list here, and if you have anything that you want to add, I'll just go down my list here. Susan Buffy, I see you are on Zoom. Did you have anything you wanted to add at this point?
Hi, yes, I was just curious, is this about reclassifying the agricultural land, or is it just about subdividing the actual parcel?
This was just a realignment of the property lines, and it isn't reclassifying any rezoning or any additional development rights.
Okay, and is this in I guess, in regards to the position of the road that is to be put in? Is that why this is happening?
Correct.
That's correct.
Femi, if you could bring up the picture, then we could I could describe this a little bit further. This was in relation, next pictures, no, to the lots, there. Okay. So what this was the realignment of these two, I'm not sure if you can see my arrow. It's the, it was the 2 parcels that exist already, and it was just a matter of taking a part of that parcel for the Looney Lane and for the realignment of that line, and the other line was to move it so that the parcel on the other side where all the tennis courts were would be within the same parcel. That's all it was just a realignment. As we stated in the subdivision, and if you go back to the original subdivision, it clearly describes what that application was for. It was mainly for the acquisition of Looning for the purposes of putting it on a public right-of-way and then just aligning the property lines, and that was it.
And the north end of Sherwood.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that,
And then the north was also acquiring some land for Sherwood.
So before the subdivision, the land itself is zoned agriculture A80, and after the subdivision, it's still zoned the same A80. So this is not a rezoning. It's just
So this is not a rezoning, so they don't get any additional development rights or anything. It's the same as they had in the past. It's just a property in realignment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Susan. Alan Delaney, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Thanks for that clarification. That was about the same thing that I had. Did it change anything in regards to what they're allowed to do on that parcel of land going forward? Any construction of any structures or subdivision of the property? But thank you for that clarification.
You're very welcome. Bruce or Carol Haller?
No, that confirms everything for us too, thanks.
Thank you. And Ian McNaught? Okay, I don't see anybody else. Is there anyone else on Zoom who wishes to speak to this application? There are no more names on my list, so with that, I will ask our CAO for a resolution to come out of our public here or our variation board.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 80 of 2022 be closed. The regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horbus, Councillor Strang seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, if council is ready to deal with this application, I will ask our administrator to read the resolution, please.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll numbers 660700 and 660800 legally described as Northeast 36167E and Northwest 36167E and located in Sherwood Street and Looning Lane has made application for variation order number 80 of 2022 from site area 80 acres to site area lot 1 40.79 acres and lot 2 14.6 acres or 14.06 acres. Purpose to reduce the minimum site areas for proposed lots 1 and 2 within the A80 agricultural general zone. The requested variances in this application are part of the conditions within the conditionally approved subdivision application S22 of 2949. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order number 80 of 2022 be approved with the following conditions. These variances are for the approval of the site area minimums as presented in this application. Any further changes will require a new variance approval. This order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of the date of making.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Horbus seconds. Any discussion on this application? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, we have one more variation this evening, and that is variation order number 82 of 2022. And if I could have a resolution to move into variation board, please.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order number 82 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, second. Councillor Bazarowicz, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. And Femi, if you could go ahead on this one, please.
The variance application BO 82 2022, location of 4330 Edison Highway, road number 35335. The intent is to allow a reduced front yard there on Old River Road, setback of 42.68 minimum instead of 50 feet for the proposed building in the CH Commercial Highway zone. This is the variance request table that shows what the property zone is currently zone CH Commercial Highway, and the applicant is requesting a reduced front yard from 50 to 42.68. This map shows the subject site and the surrounding area. And this is the subject site plan that shows the location of the proposed building and the yards being requested. Information for council's consideration. That the solid proposal commercial structure is consistent with general development policies of the development plan. Although the variance request, the front yard setback of 42.68 feet instead of 50 feet seems significant. This is a true lot, which means it has two frontages, one on Old River Road and that one on Henderson Highway. But I noted in my presentation that the Old River Road is not on the same category as the Henderson Highway. That the existing commercial structure on site has a front yard setback on Old River Road that is much less than what is currently proposed. And as a matter of fact, I think the front yard of the existing structure is just 10 feet to Old River Road. The Old River Road, had it been, is considered a rear yard. The applicant and proposer will have complied. If you can't wishes to approve this application, RPD is recommending two conditions. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Any questions to the planner from members of council? Not seeing any hands be raised, and is the applicant in the audience? Yes. Do you have anything that you'd like to add at this point in time?
Not really.
No. Okay. I don't believe that there's anybody on Zoom that was wanting to speak to this. Is there a Robert McFarland?
That's my son.
Oh, that's your son? Okay.
Yeah, they were getting some cement poured out in his garage, and the guy just showed up.
Oh, okay, so he won't be showing up then.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so any questions to the applicant? And if council is ready to deal with this application, I will ask for a resolution to come out of the variation board.
Result of public hearing for variation order 82 of 2022 be closed and regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Orbis, Councillor Spicer seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. And if council's ready to deal with it, I will ask our CAO to please read the resolution for the last variation we have this evening.
Whereas the applicant order of tax roll number 35335, legally described as CT 1958552/1 and located at 4330 Henderson Highway, has made application for variation order number 82 of 2022 from front yard 50 to front yard 42.68 feet. Purpose to allow reduced front yard setback of 42.68 feet instead of 50 feet for the purpose of the main building on the subject property. Therefore, be it resolved, the variation order 82 of 2022 be approved with the following conditions. The variance is limited to the front yard of the proposed building to 42.68 feet minimum as presented in this application. Any further changes, replacement, or additions would require new variance approval. Applicant owner obtains all required permits from the Red River Planning District. Applicant owner obtain a permit from Manitoba Transportation Infrastructure for proposed structure and parking area. The permit will also include the legalization of any existing structures and parking area within the controlled area of PR 204. This order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of the date of making.
Thank you for that. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any further discussion on this application? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. You're
Madam Mayor,
welcome.
can I ask a question
Sure.
of the applicant? Has your permit been resolved, issued?
They're still asking for a couple different things, but
Did Rob take care of, I got him a copy of the letter for the fire department?
oh, the fire department. Oh, okay. I didn't get a copy of that.
If you could check with Rob, if he hasn't done it, I can follow up and
Okay.
help him to make sure it's
Yeah.
taken care of
just-
for you.
Originally, when I was talking to our Red River Planning, we didn't realize that that was also a front road. So we were all under the assumption that it would be 25 feet there, but I didn't need to go that close anyway, so we just placed it wherever, as long as we had lots on the other side, so we could still use our throughway, you know, because we have two entrances on Henderson Highway, like one on where the post office is and one on the other end of the property, so we just wanted to put it far enough that way so that we still have lots of parking and room to get through there. Anyways,
Good.
yeah, Yeah.
just that issue that you phoned me about your permits, I just
I
want to
will
make sure.
go
I get
wrong,
this
thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, you too. Okay, we have a couple of subdivisions on our agenda next, both of these subdivisions require no public hearing. So the first one we have is S-22-2959 on 2 Mile Road, and if you could go through that one, if you have anything, Femi?
The first subdivision application, S-22-2959, is a non-addressed parcel or road number 446200. The intent is to subdivide the current land, which is on a single title to 2 lots. That's the map that shows the subject site. And that's the submitted application map that shows the lot itself and what is being subdivided up. So this is the requirements in the AAT zone. The site area requirement in the AAT is 80 acres and the width is 300 feet. The applicant is creating 2 lots. One of them, the bigger one, is 31.53 acres, and the smaller one is 0.24 acres. Variances will be required for the lot area and the lot width for both of them. RRPD notes the following, that the site proposal is consistent with the main objective of the area resource and cultural designation of the RRPD development plan, given that the creation of a small lot to facilitate the construction of the community or communication utility shed is very important to the community. Proposal generally falls under public utility, despite not being a municipal service. The intended use of the proposed lot 1 will facilitate the good communication network for residents and emerging services in the area. Aside from water licensing requirements, commencing agencies generally noted concerns. RRPD is recommending approval, subject to 4 conditions as listed in the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Any questions to the planner on this subdivision application?
Sure, we can verify. I think somebody just logged in. I think they're for an earlier application.
Okay, okay.
So subdivision application number S-22-2959, proposal by Franz Oppenheimer, Wayne's Law to subdivide parcel 1. And as you can see, the legal description there, Madam Mayor, I'm not going to read the entire legal description. Resolved that council approve the said application subject to the following conditions. Applicant owner submits confirmation in writing from the Chief Administrative Officer of the municipality that all taxes on the land to be subdivided for the current year, plus any arrears have been paid. Development and road levies along the administration fee to be paid as per bylaw 14 of 2009. Provide a digital copy of the plan of subdivision to the RSA Quebec. 2, applicant owner obtains water rights licensing from Drainage and Water Rights Licensing Branch of Manitoba Conservation and Climate Control Works, or construct, establish, or maintain any water control works. For more information, contact the province of Manitoba. With the applicant enter into an agreement limiting the use of proposed lot 1 to a utility shed, or applicant or obtain variances for undersized lots.
Okay, thank you for that. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, second. Councillor Horvis, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And if you want to go ahead and check with the one gentleman that just logged in.
Ian, I noticed you've logged in. I'm not sure which application you're here for. I think you might have been registered for the application in Gull Lake. Is that correct, Ian?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that application has already been approved and processed. So the public hearing is closed on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Madam Mayor.
Okay, so
next
we have
one is-
another subdivision, and that one is file number S22-2962 at 80 Narrow Lane. And if you could walk us through that one, Benny.
The subdivision application, S22-2962 is at 80 Narrow Lane, road number 35166. The intent is to subdivide the subject property on a single title into 2 lots. This is the subject site that shows the surrounding area. This is the submitted subdivision application mark. This is a table that shows the GD, which is the general development area, which the property is currently zoned. In that zone, the minimum lot area is 2 acres, and the minimum lot width is 200. For proposed lot 1, the applicant is proposing 1.7 acres and 230.24 feet for site width. For proposed lot 2, the applicant is proposing 2.3 acres and 3.22.5 feet in site area for proposed lot 2. Variances will be required for the size of the proposed lot 1. RFPD knows the following, that the study proposal aligns with the general intent of the general development policies of the RFPD development plan. The subject site was part of a 16-lot subdivision approved under subdivision 05/1956. Proposed lots and the future construction of a single-family dwelling will be compatible with existing development in the area. Aside from the required water licensing rights, water rights license to establish or maintain water work control, other permitting agencies generally limited no concerns. RP recommends approval subject to 2 conditions as listed in the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Any questions to the planner on this application? Council is ready to deal with it. I will ask for a resolution to move it forward.
Subdivision application S2020, subdivision application number S22-2962, proposal of Matsky and Dick to provide subdivide lot 1, block 2, plan 46371, Winnipeg Land Titles Office in RL 282 to 286, Parish of St. Andrews, CT 2634368/1. Resolved that council approve the said application subject to the following conditions. Applicant owner submits confirmation in writing from the chief administrative officer of the municipality that taxes on the land to be subdivided for the current year, plus any arrears have been paid. Development and road levies with the administration fee to be paid as per bylaw 14 of 2009. Provide a digital copy of the plan of subdivision with the RMSA comments. Applicant owner obtains variances for undersized lots.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, second, Councillor Horvis. Before I ask for the question, can you go back to the site map, please, Femi?
This one?
Yeah, that's the one. It's just kind of bouncing around on my screen here. Are both of those lots going to have access off of the east-west road there?
That's
The one gets access off in there.
narrowly. The other road, which is a Jasper Road, is not yet open, so I will assume that both of them will have access to narrowly.
No, they can't.
No, because they're subdividing it the other way.
So they're going to be off Dunning or off Jasper?
Jasper. But on the map that I have, it says Jasper is not open.
Right, so one of them has access off of Narrow Lane,
Yes.
and the other one will have access off of Dunning.
Jasper.
Of them, yes, correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I kind of was looking at it and thinking, where's that second lot having access? Because Jasper is not built.
So it has to have access off the.
So, sorry, one of them will have access, the existing access is on Narrow Lane. I think the other one is going to be on Mackay Road.
Oh, McKay, not Dunning, okay.
Mackay, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense then. Okay, anything else? Sorry about that, I have a mover, I have a seconder, but I needed to have clarification, so I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and carried. Okay, we have a zoning bylaw, and I believe Femi's gonna stick around for that one. And that is the property that we have at the, well, north of Legal that had no zoning, so we worked very hard to try and get that a zoning for that particular piece of property. So Femi, do you have anything that you want to add right now?
Yeah, just to let us know that this is just for horse trading.
Yes.
Yes, and the property is currently doesn't have any zoning, it's not zoned, so the intent is to rezone the property to HL, which is a hazard land zone, and the SR, seasonal residential. The table shows the bulk requirements for the HL, for SR zone, and for the HL zone. Like this, if anything is going to be built on this land, these are the standards that is applicable in terms of the front yard setbacks and their height and things like that. And then that shows the subject property, and that shows how what's going to be zoned. And it's just for horse trading, so it's after the horse trading that RPD will come back here with a more comprehensive report in terms of whether it should be supported or not.
Okay. Any questions to the planner on this one? And it is only for first reading. Once we give it first reading, there will be a public hearing, will there not, Femi?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to give us the resolution for this one, please.
Madam Mayor. Resolved bylaw 11 of 2022 being a bylaw to amend the Arm of St. Clement zoning bylaw 5 of 2002 as amended be given first reading.
Can I have a mover? And I believe that's Councillor Spicer is moving that. Councillor Horbus is seconding it. Any questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, I see we have another in-camera resolution, but I'm not sure. Do you want to go in camera, or do you want to go and catch up on some of the things that we missed?
I'd like to go in camera and ask the question of the planner.
Planner,
for
okay,
amendment.
sure. Then let us,
Here.
yeah, then let us go in camera.
Thanks. Resolve council recess the regular meeting and go into in camera to discuss legal and personnel issues. And further be it resolved that all matters discussed are to remain confidential as per section 83(1)(d) of the Municipal Act.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarovich, Councillor Strang seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, carried.
Okay, let me start off by, I'm not,
I just gotta get the camera.
okay.